Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Wednesday, May the 8th. The bicycle riding lady is back with us again, Barbara Buffaloe.
She didn't write in because last time you were like, oh, she's late, which was a lie.
You
she
made
was in the building.
You made quite an entrance last time you were on.
Don't I always, though?
Riding your bicycle down the hallway and into the studio.
I can do amazing things.
Right. But Barbara, of course, is with the City of Columbia Office of Sustainability.
Here's a mouthful.
It is. What are we sustaining this week?
Well, so we've got a couple of things going on right now. So the first thing is that there's still a couple more days left on the draft of the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. Mm-hmm. So we put out on Earth Day in April 22nd, we put out the draft Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. Mm-hmm. And as a reminder, that's the roadmap, right? So council set emission reduction goals and a goal to prepare us for climate change. And so this is the roadmap of 126 potential actions that we could do.
And what are some of those potential actions?
Right. So some of those actions are, the way I first phrase it is that a lot of those actions are to make conscious decisions.
Right.
And those are conscious decisions over using less energy, finding more renewable energy options, recycling more, maybe driving our car less or carpooling or thinking of ways that we can reduce our transportation emissions.
Yeah.
So, some of the actions are to increase the amount of renewable energy that Columbia Water and Light provides, to increase the efficiency, to maybe incentivize property owners to increase the energy efficiency of rental units so residents are paying less. Also, things like transportation emissions, thinking about how we can support our public transit system and create neighborhoods that are more walkable and bikeable.
Yeah. And as far as our cars, buying more fuel-efficient cars.
Yeah.
It seems like now people are going back to the bigger vehicles. For a while, we had gone to the smaller compact.
Well, and that's why I start with that idea about that conscious choice, right? So a lot of times, sometimes our decisions are made because it's the prices come down. Well, if the prices come down on a large vehicle, that will make it more convenient for me to carry a lot of things, right? And so I think about, let's think about our conscious choices, and the price might have come down, but it's going to cost you more to run that vehicle, right? If it takes more gas or diesel, it's going to cost you more. So maybe choosing a more efficient or low emissions vehicle will not cost you as much in the long run.
Exactly. Now, I saw an article in the paper last week and week before last that Denmark, I believe Denmark, has more electric cars than any place in the world.
I could see
I think
that.
It's like 50%
and
of the automobiles in Denmark are electric vehicles. Do you see that coming?
We are seeing a trend. The Midwest is obviously falling, having this uptake a little bit slower than the coast are. But we have been looking at the projected changes, which is why in our Climate Action and Adaptation Plan that the Mayor's Task Force has put together is about supporting alternative vehicles, having more in our fleet, and then also having like electric charging stations for if you do have those, or supporting car share, so you don't even have to own one. Maybe you can share it and get into the pool.
Right. And then when you talk about the electric charging stations, it's important also to keep in mind that you want electricity that is being manufactured from renewable sources, not charging your car with electricity that is coming from a coal mining plant.
So if you look at the plan, there's actually this thing called a wedge analysis, or it's forecasting. And there are certain actions that are encouraged to happen first. So cleaner energy, finding cleaner sources of where our electricity comes from is one of the first actions. And then also reducing the need to drive a car as much is one of the other actions, so that when you're getting that electric vehicle, maybe you've also first changed your habits a little bit so you don't have to drive as much. And then the second one is that when you are charging, the energy you're charging with is a little bit cleaner.
Right. Because it kind of defeats the purpose if you're driving an electric vehicle and then you charge it with electricity that's being made from coal.
And so there's a lot of actions in there. And so we're asking people to give feedback. They can go to comoclimateaction.com, and the survey is open till May 10th. And you can comment on the overall plan. You can choose to just comment on energy or just just transportation or just waste or health or natural systems.
And as you said, you have to make a choice on many of these things.
Yeah.
You have to almost change the way your brain is thinking things out.
I know that's a challenge, right? Sometimes, like
it is.
Somebody, they were like, nobody wants to change, but we hate more someone telling us to change. And so this is more of like, well, then you be the change you want to do.
I'm trying to. In fact, I do. I drive a lot less. I live 35 miles from town.
Yeah.
So to come into town and go back home, that's a 70-mile round trip.
Yeah.
So I think out everything that I'm going to do in town before I come in, and I try to limit it to coming to 1 day a week.
And I think that's one of the really big things that we're asking people to do is to be conscious in your decisions and in your life, right? That will also help you feel less stressed. I've been listening to some of the segments that you have when you have some of those from the health professions come on and talking about mindfulness and thinking about that. And so I think it's part of I actually do listen to something besides my own segments.
It is. It's important to try to become less stressed, and I've been trying to work on that because Barb, the older you get, the more you realize you can't do everything you did when you were younger, and you realize some of those things you did were really not that important. You don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah, and you got stressed over them, right?
No,
and you're like, why did I get stressed over that?
No, I used to obsess over everything. Now I think, well, okay.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and so I try to get less stressed over some of the actions we do for the city government. But so we're encouraging people to give feedback on the survey. We've had I think some not a lot of survey responses. We were out at Earth Day and got a lot of feedback in person on people and their actions and thoughts on it. Yeah. Just asking people to fill out the survey. Go to comoclimateaction.com and take that. But the other thing I wanted to talk about was another piece of this is around waste. Yeah. And so on June 1st, we're having our big collection event. So if people live in mid-Missouri, it doesn't have to be just Columbia, to come out on June 1st to the Hearn Center from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Remember, that's the day where you can bring household hazardous waste, tires. There's a small fee for
you can bring tires.
Yep, there's a small fee for tires. We're also asking...
Television monitors?
Television. So there's a small fee for those really big kind of like CRT monitors or like the rear projection televisions. But any other...
What about the old TV monitors? Just the
it depends.
The
if
VHS
it has,
ones.
Right. So if it has some tubes and stuff to it, there is a small fee just because we have to recycle it properly. But otherwise, anything with a battery or plugs in, bring, because electronic waste, we can recycle it.
Got it. All right. And that's June the 1st.
June 1st at the Hearn Center.
At the Hearn Center.
Yeah.
And you don't have to live in Columbia. You can live anywhere.
In mid-Missouri, you want to come in, bring it in.
Yeah, even if you live in California.
And be patient. If you just have household hazardous waste, go to 1313 Lakeview any other first and third Saturday.
All right, Barbara, it's a pleasure having you here.
Always.
Thank you so much. Something you'd like to hear, drop me an email, pepperp@missouri.edu, and I like that green stripe in your hair.
Oh, you couldn't let it go.